Today, we will talk about finding roots of quadratic equation by using the quadratic formula. So, kapag sinabi natin quadratic formula, ito ay x is equal to negative b plus and minus the square root of b square minus 4ac all over by 2a. So, yung ating b square minus 4ac dito, tinatawag natin itong discriminant. So, dito tayo magbe-base kung ilang roots ba or real roots ang makukuha natin sa ating equation. So, kapag yung ating b square minus 4ac or yung ating discriminant ay greater than 0, ibig sabihin yung equation natin ay mayroong 2 real roots. So, kapag yung ating discriminant naman, or ating b square minus 4ac ay equal to 0, ibig sabihin nito, meron lang tayong isang real root sa ating equation. Then, kapag yung ating discriminant or yung ating b square minus 4ac ay less than 0, ibig sabihin, wala tayong real roots. Kasi, magiging imaginary na yung ating equation or yung ating makukuhang roots doon. So, wala siyang real roots. So, mamaya mas maiintindihan nyo ito kapag nagbigay tayo ng example. For better understanding, we have here an example. So, we have here 2x squared plus 10x plus 8 is equal to 0. So, isa-solve natin siya using yung ating formula sa ating quadratic formula na x is equal to negative b plus and minus the square root of b square minus 4ac all over by 2a. So, we have here x is equal to negative b plus and minus the square root of b square minus 4ac all over by 2a. So, ito ngayon yung gagamitin nating formula para isolve ito. Pero bago yan, kunin muna natin yung ating mga given para sa ganun ay mai-substitute natin sila dito sa ating given formula. So, yung ating A ay yung ating nasa quadratic coefficient which is 2. Ito yung ating quadratic coefficient. So, we have 2. Then, yung ating B ay yung pangalawang term or yung ating nasa linear terms or yung ating linear coefficient which is 10. Then, yung ating C ay yung ating constant which is positive 8. Okay. So, ito na nga yung ating mga given na ilalagay or isa-substitute natin sa ating formula. So, mag-start na tayong mag-substitute. So, we have here negative times B which is 10 plus and minus the square root of b square, yung b natin ay 10. So, i-square daw natin yung 10 minus 4 times a which is 2. Then, c which is 8 all over by 2 times a which is 2. So, after that, magsisimplify lang tayo. So, we have negative times 10 will give us negative 10 plus and minus the square root of 10 square will give us all. So, yung gagawin natin dyan, 10 times 10. So, magiging 100 minus or i-multiply natin yung negative 2 or negative 4 times 2 will give us 8. Then, 8 times 8 will give us 64. So, we have negative 64. All over by 2 times 2 will give us 4. So, after that, ima-minus na natin yung nasa ating loob ng square root para sa ganun ay makuha na din natin yung kanyang square root. So, we have, copy lang natin yung negative 10 plus and minus square root of, so 100 minus 64 will give us 36. So, we have 36 all over by 4. So, after that, kukunin naman natin yung square root ng 36. So, i-copy muna natin yung ating negative 10. Then, we have plus and minus. Square root of 36 will be 6. Then, we have all over by 2. So, ngayon, paghiwalay na natin yung ating dalawang root. So, yung ating x sub 1 will be negative 10 plus 6 all over by 4. Then, yung ating x sub 2 ay negative 10 minus 6 all over by 4. So, ngayon, isimplify natin yung x sub 1 or yung first root natin. So, we have negative 10 plus 6 will give us negative 4. Then, negative 4 divided by positive 4 will give us negative 1. Then, yung ating x sub 2, negative 10 minus 6 will give us negative 16. Divided by 4 will give us negative 4. So, we have x sub 2 ay negative 4. So, ito na ngayon yung ating dalawang roots. So, kung mapapansin nyo yung ating nakuha dito na discriminant, which is, we have etong 6. So, kung napapansin nyo yung ating 6 ay greater than 0. So, ibig sabihin meron tayong dalawang roots. So, kaya meron tayong nakuha ditong dalawang roots, which is negative 1 and negative 4. So, mahaba yung ating solution, pero madali lang siyang i-solve or sundan kapag ginamit natin itong ating quadratic formula. So, let's have another example. So, we have here 4x squared plus 12x plus 9 is equal to 0. So, kunin muna natin yung ating mga given bago tayo mag-proceed sa ating formula. So, we have a, or yung ating quadratic coefficient ay 4. B, yung ating linear coefficient, which is 12. Then, yung ating C ay yung ating constant, which is positive 9. So, after getting the given, punta naman tayo dun sa ating formula. So, yung formula natin ay x is equal to negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over by 2a. So, substitute na tayo. So, we have negative times b, which is 12, plus and minus the square root of b, which is 12, square, minus 4. Yung a natin ay 4 times dun sa ating c, which is 9, all over by 2 times yung ating a, which is 4. So, after that, mag-simplify na tayo. So, we have negative times 12 will give us negative 12 plus and minus the square root of, so 12 square will give us 144. So, we have 144. So, ito, negative 4 times negative, or negative 4 times positive 4 will give us negative 16. Then, negative 16 times 9 will give us, so ito ay 54. Then, we have 9 times 1 will give us 9. Then, plus 5 will give us 44. So, magiging negative 1, 44 all over by 2 times 4 will give us 8. So, after that, i-simplify na natin yung ating nasa loob ng square root. So, we have, copy muna natin to, we have negative 12 plus and minus the square root of, so 144 minus 144 will give us 0. Then, copy lang yung 8. So, kung mapapansin nyo, yung ating discriminant dito ay 0 or equal to 0. So, sinabi natin kanina na kapag yung ating b square minus 4ac ay equal to 0, ibig sabihin, meron lang tayong iisang real root. So, dito sa ating equation na to, meron lang tayong makukuha ng isang root. Okay, so, ituloy na natin itong ating solution. So, we have makakancel na lang ito kasi nga square root of 0 ay wala na lang siya. So, we have now, burahin ko na din ito para makapagsulat tayo dito. So, we have is equal to negative 12 all over by 8. So, meron lang tayo ditong x sub 1 or isang root. Then, isimplify na lang natin or we have negative 3 all over by 2. So, yan na ngayon yung ating root sa ating equation na 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. Now, let's have the last example. So, we have here x squared minus x plus 2 is equal to 0. So, ngayon, kunin muna natin yung given before tayo mag-proceed sa ating formula para mag-substitute. So, we have a. So, yung ating quadratic coefficient dito ay 1 kasi meron tayong invisible 1 dito. So, we have 1. Then, yung ating b or yung ating linear coefficient dito ay meron tayong invisible 1 ulit dito. So, magiging negative 1. Then, yung ating c ay yung ating constant which is 2. So, after getting the given, proceed na tayo sa ating formula na x is equal to negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over by 2a. So, substitute na natin yung ating mga given. So, we have negative, ano yung ating b? So, negative 1. So, negative times negative 1 plus and minus the square root of b. So, negative 1. I-square down natin siya. Minus 4. Then, yung a natin ay 1 times c which is 2. All over by 2 times a which is 1. So, after that, mag-simplify na tayo sa ating equation. So, we have negative times negative 1 will give us positive 1 plus and minus the square root of negative 1 square will give us positive 1. Then, negative 4 times 1 will give us negative 4. Then, negative 4 times 2 will give us negative 8. So, we have negative 8 all over by 2 times 1 will give us simply 2. Okay, so after that, i-simplify natin yung ating nasa loob ng square root. So, copy lang natin muna yung positive 1, then plus and minus. So, 1 minus 8 will give us negative 7 all over by 2. So, kung napapansin nyo yung ating discriminant or yung ating b squared minus 4ac negative 7. So, ibig sabihin, less than 0 siya. So, sinabi natin kanina na kapag less than 0 or naging negative yung ating discriminant, wala tayong magiging real root doon. Kasi nga, kapag negative number yung ating nasa square root, ang tawag na doon ay imaginary roots. So, yung imaginary roots or imaginary number ay nire-represent as small letter I. Ito ay inintroduce ni Leonhard Euler in the year 1777. So, yung symbol I is, ang equal nito ay square root of negative 1. Then, yung ating negative 1 dyan ay imaginary number. So, ibig sabihin yung ating negative 7 doon ay imaginary number din. So, paano natin isusulat ngayon yan? Kapag meron tayong negative 7 or negative na number doon sa ating loob ng square root. So, kapag sinulat natin yan, magiging 1 plus and minus, ilalabas natin ngayon ang factor kasi nito ay magiging 7 times negative 1 all over by 2. So, we have now 1 plus and minus. Ilalabas natin yung ating negative 1. So, magiging I na siya or small letter I. Then, meron tayong naiwan yung ating 7 dyan all over by 2. So, ganun mag-solve kapag meron tayong imaginary number doon sa ating loob ng square root. So, for example, meron naman tayong, so burahin ko na to. So, ito ay wala siyang root kasi nga less than 0 yung kanyang discriminant. So, i-explain ko lang ngayon kung paano kumuha ng imaginary number or kapag nag-negative yung ating number sa ating loob ng square root. So, for example, we have here square root of negative 25. So, ito na kasi yung tinatawag nating mga complex root. Yung factor ng negative 25 ay 25 times negative 1. So, sinabi natin kanina na kapag square root of negative 1 ay is equal to I or small letter I. So, kapag kinuha na natin yung square root ng ito, 25 then times negative 1 ang magiging sagot na square root ng 25 ay simply 5. Then, itong negative 1, sinabi natin kanina na square root of negative 1 ay simply I. So, ibig sabihin, ang square root ng negative 25 ay 5i. Or, imaginary ang basa ng ating I dito. Bigay pa tayo ng another example sa ating complex root kung paano siya isosolve. So, for example, we have naman square root of negative 8. So, kapag kinuha kasi natin yung square root ng negative 8 or positive 8 muna, ang nangyayari kasi dyan, kapag square root of positive 8, kinukuha muna natin yung factor niya na yung isa ay merong square root para mailabas natin siya. So, magiging 4 times 2. So, ilalabas natin ngayon yung may square root, which is the 4. So, magiging square root ng 4 ay 2, square root of 2. So, ito na yung magiging square root ng square root of 8 kapag sinolve natin kapag positive. Paano naman ngayon kapag negative? So, ito, kukunin muna natin yung kanyang factor. So, we have square root of 4 times 2 times negative 1. So, after that, ilabas natin yung may square root. So, we have square root ng 4 ay simply 2. Then, may square root yung ating negative 1, which is I. So, ilabas natin yan. Then, naiwan sa loob yung ating 2. So, ito na ngayon yung square root ng ating negative 8. So, ganun lang siya kasimple. So, ganun lang kumuha ng roots of quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. Medyo mahaba siya pero madali lang siya kapag sinunod lang natin yung formula na binigay na x is equal to negative b plus and minus the square root of b square minus 4ac all over by 2a. So, wag niyong kakalimutan to. Then, yung ating discriminant ay b square minus 4ac. Doon tayo magbi-base kung ilang roots yung makukuha natin. So, ulitin natin kapag greater than 0 yung ating naging discriminant, ibig sabihin, dalawa yung ating real roots. Kapag nag-equal sa 0, meron lang tayong iisang roots. Then, kapag yung discriminant nag less than 0 or naging negative number na siya, ang ating discriminant ay wala. Or we have no real roots kasi nga naging imaginary root na siya at ang tawag natin doon ay complex root. So, ganun lang kasimple.